Good evening, I'm Sophia Russo with this edition of Tok Piksa. The Telefomin electorate in the West Sepik province is one of the least developed areas in Papua New Guinea. Access to road networks and communication is very poor. Social indicators are low and locals live below the poverty line, meaning they earn less than $1 a fortnight. But new Telefomin MP Solan Mirisim hopes to change the electorate.
Telefomin is located northeast of the nation's capital of Papua New Guinea. The flight from Port Moresby to Telefomin Sundown in the Momasa region is 2 hours. Telefomin district is among the 89 districts in PNG and is one of the least developed provinces in the country. Even in the 21st century and 37 years after independence from Australia, Telefomin's development challenges are inexplicable, mind-boggling, and cannot be underestimated. The impact of the lack of development in the district has resulted in poor social and economic indicators, including high birth mortality rates, low lifespan, and low living standards, living on less than 1 kina per fortnight, a measure in which World Bank uses to classify people as under the poverty line. This is so with exploration currently done on the Frida River and Tifalmen mine. With no roads linking Telefomin to major towns, Telefomin residents and surrounding LLGs Oksapmin, Yapsi, and Namea want a road.
All leader for you must sit down and plan long development of community and youth members.
Roads linking Telefomin to Kiunga and Tabubil will definitely reduce the price of goods and services. Basic foodstuffs like rice, flour, sugar, Coca-Cola, Maggi noodles, tinned fish, and oxen palm. Most are saying build a road and leave us alone. Under the leadership of the newly elected member for Telefomin, Solan Mirisim, things are about to change. His first visit as the member-elect, Honorable Mirisim launched vital communication services.
Okay, now you are remembering 100 block of most.
The cost is 5,000 kina per table, which includes 10 people, inclusive of one surprise rugby league member as your guest. Now, three courses, wine and soft drinks will be provided. The guest speakers include
oh
yes, the song that's giving praise and thanks to God, and there's a big dedication. William Well, now at this time, listeners of One Tok Radio Live.
Number one, and Christ Service, NBC Lomosby.
Why we're providing the latest online and mobile banking facilities, more branches, thousands of FPOS facilities, and hundreds of ATMs, more than any other bank in the South Pacific. With a PSP, one bank, one people.
This place here, Telefomin, is covered with mountainous areas, and we are looking at the areas in which, it's line of sight. So we are looking at approximately 30 kilometers for radio, 25 kilometers for TV.
The Telefomin Open MP, Solan Mirisim, and his team for the first 5-year term have made the Tabubil Telefomin Oksapmin Road construction a top priority.
Chairman Anderson Guru, and you talking me as road festival of Kikori, for Telefomin Oksapmin. But any long-term plan. Now, Mr. Lord Government, the company like him must be hurry up so that within 100 days, by mixing of the people project on the moment.
At the cost of 170 million kina, the road will be included in the national budget. This road is demanded by 40,000 residents of Telefomin, Oksapmin, Yapsi, and Namea. Currently, the only form of transport to bring in goods and service is by air. people in the humble settings are realizing that change starts from their choice. And almost 40 years later, Telefomin residents have woken up to elect their own. In his welcome in September, the Telefomin Sing Sing group sang in unison for change and delivery of goods and services. The men sang for the return of their leader and son. While the women in their role as mothers echoed love and care for their leader. For the first time in the 9th Telefomin representative at Parliament, Honorable Mirisim, with a strong background in business, is targeting to improve education.
Which organ supplies the oxygen to the body? The lung. Now, cardiovascular endurance.
Its priorities are like education. And we are all APS teachers of high school and also the primary schools. We will want to see this priority being fulfilled by our new member. He's from Telefomin. He's also an ex-student of Telefomin High School. He has been a board member of the school and also PB rep for Telefomin, representing Telefomin district.
One of the problems that we have to here is on curriculum materials, because it is too costly living in Telefomin. We cannot afford buying so many curriculum materials for the students too, which I also heard that he will help in that area too. So if he really does that, I think he's going to help the schools in Telefomin.
Priority belum bergolong education. Education by two product. Number one, kami perlu infrastructure. Number two, school fee. Number three, antar mengenai display by you quality of teachers by coming quality education side from one school.
HIV and AIDS, sexually transmitted diseases, is an area that will be addressed by the new member and his team. Also the reopening of the School of Community Health Worker, construction of more aid posts, installing of 24-hour lights and bulk order of basic drugs. But for independent babies born at the Telefomin Rural Hospital, the future holds hope.
So when the new member, he just came in, he said he wanted to join the power to us. I was so happy. He wanted to join the power line with the hospital, with the district. So that's the first kind of help the member can give it to us. Then previous two members for how many years, a member from Telefomin, they didn't give any support. But didn't give any grants. They just tell us lies and we don't know. Actually, money didn't give it to us, so we didn't do anything.
But amongst the challenges of making sure there is healthy community, even for the innocents on a hot day. Challenges ahead and hours of walk past beautiful and majestic landscapes to nearby wards in his electorate have always prompted responses. Missing Min LLG wasted no time in their welcome.
I'm Mr. Lomospi. We pay most money belong DST na DSIP money wala gam and constitutional money. Gam money to money belong one electric. I'm leading to mass. Telefomin have to place. On the way of mixing more money come we must. Iga. Ogo belong man lo Mr. Baxter lo working proposal na yumi kisi money lang arase.
More mountains, fast-flowing creeks have made the setting perfect for rural electrification. This is one of the many tributaries here at Missing Min, Ward 10, under the Telefomin LLG. This river joins up with the mighty Sepik River. But for 20 years, the mini hydro that supplies little to the Telefomin district.
We like him, Mr. Lubla, we go inside. We like him, must find him, John Lamoni go inside. Long this hydro alone, without other all around projects must be. Only hydro sorted, you can import something, all these our parts, and 90 to 20 years and all player. So we can need to more, kind of gearbox, we can need to now they bind around and we live down. Because or heat down and so on now.
Minutes walk from the district office is Ankem village and its residents who chanted welcome and cry for service delivery. Across the main road into the members' stronghold of Ward 12 of Telefomin NLG, Frem Tigim. Villagers welcomed their son and leader Honorable Mirisim with his delegation for a lap of victory led by the SDA congregation. And more dances, feasting and mumus right up to where Mim tribe originated. Like most dominated societies, in PNG, Telefomin is no different. Building houses, clearing the gardens is for the men, while the women clean and attend to the children and take care of gardens and pigs. For Betha Corey, the responsibility of rearing a pig every day is a show for her added role and status to her family. Corey is looking after a pig that belongs to someone else, but the order for the slaughtering of the pig for a feast will not be for her choice to make. But in the next couple of years, Betha will make the choice. She will be among 40,000 residents of Telefomin district who will have a road. Roads linking Telefomin to Kiunga and Tabubil will definitely reduce the price of goods and services. And for what used to be relied on by Telefomin residents will now be a time of the past.
The Archbishop of Canterbury, Rowan Williams, paid a 5-day visit to PNG, describing it as an experience of many communities and great energy and results. Before his departure back to England, the Most Reverend reminded the PNG government that they exist for the country and the church is there to remind them of that. The Archbishop also had a one-on-one discussion behind closed doors with victims of domestic violence and people living with HIV and AIDS. His Grace, the Archbishop of Canterbury, was welcomed in true oral fashion. The Anglican Church of PNG traces its existence and roots back to the Northern Province, and since then has gone from generation to generation. Archbishop Williams was accompanied by his wife, Mother Jane Williams, and dignitaries from the England Anglican Diocese. The main part of his visit was to Popondetta, the provincial capital of the Northern Province, where he opened the St. Margaret's Hospital and a new Teachers' College on Oro Bay.
I was very conscious of the fact that Oro Province has had many trials and many sufferings in recent years. So I was inspired by the faith of the people there, their willingness to rebuild again after disaster, and their willingness to work at institutions like the hospital and the college, really to raise the level of everybody there, especially women and young people and vulnerable people.
Upon his return to the nation's capital, the Archbishop made it his point to visit the 80th Anglican community outside the nation's capital. It is said to be the baby of the Port Moresby Anglican Diocese. The 80th community have gathered here at the Christ of King Chapel not only to welcome the Most Reverend Rowan Williams, the head of the World Anglican Communion, but to embrace his presence in the country for only a short while. The Tembari Children's Foundation sang the national anthem and recited the national pledge with pride. The Archbishop of Canterbury, Most Reverend Rowan Williams, and the Anglican Church of England delegates were taken on a tour of the atheist community. Many here have done it tough to earn a living.
Because to see the mother and baby care work that's done here, and the work for these small children whose parents can't afford to send them to other schools, but the church is here to provide elementary education for these children. This is a wonderful thing. And the spirit of the community, well, you can hear it, you can see it around, so it's a wonderful place to come.
Where you lead me, I will go, walking in your steps below, till they call my Father's throne. I shall know where so new.
The Archbishop of Canterbury left with two messages, and one is that the government of the day must remember that they exist for the community, and two, the work of the church is to remind the government the community exists, and through partnership with the government, the road to prosperity is in sight.
But there are two things I'd want to say. One is government always has to remember that it exists to serve the community. It doesn't exist for any party's interest, it doesn't exist for any individual's interest, it exists for the country. And the church is there, the churches, all of them are there, to remind government of what the community really needs at the basic level. And when government and church work together fruitfully, then great change is possible.
In the past couple of years, there has been a development of an Anglican Alliance for Relief and Development, and more regular meetings on how the Anglican Church can meet the Millennium Development Goals as a church. The Archbishop was profoundly moved by what the Anglican Stop AIDS Centre here in the nation's capital does, and says one of the great priorities in the fight against AIDS is to humanize the epidemic. As part of the Archbishop of Canterbury's visit to Papua New Guinea, the bishop had a one-on-one discussion behind closed doors with victims of domestic violence and people living with HIV and AIDS here at the Anglican Stop AIDS Centre, where holistic approach is what they pride themselves on doing. The number of people now living with HIV worldwide is some 33 million, but it has become something that people live with constructively and even hopefully.
No medical problem is just a scientific problem or just a technological problem. All serious medical problems are human problems, which is why medicine is a human science. We forget that at our home. But in this area more than most, precisely because of the curse of stigma, because of the fear of discrimination, all the more important that people should be given the freedom and the capacity to heal one another by listening, by sharing. HIV is often both the cause and the result of violence, especially violence against women. Again and again, going round this afternoon, I've seen posters, campaign leaflets, reminding us that the campaign against gender-based violence is woven into our work about HIV/AIDS. We can't tackle the one without the other.
Far more people have access to antiretroviral drugs, far more people are able to talk about it, and far more people are signing up to the agenda against stigma.
We support the churches to start HIV work. Also other cross-cutting issues like literacy, other empowerment programs, because these are needs of our people. As you have visited Anglican, you have seen all the programs we provide. It connects all. And this is, we see one individual being affected in all areas. So I see that Anglican is providing services in a more holistic way, and it helps that one individual.
What is needed here, according to the Archbishop, is that the government of the day needs to hold on to the political will, and the prospects of working with the community will bring about positive outcomes. Sadly, some governments and organizations take their eye off the ball. Cocoa and copra have been leading agricultural produce in East New Britain over the years, but soon another commodity is poised to tip the scale. It's oil palm. The first tree planting ceremony for the Kairak oil palm project took place on the 20th of this month. 11,000 jobs are expected to be created in the industry.
The people of Kairak are from the Malay clan of Baining in East New Britain province. The land was bought by Australians during the colonial government. In 1972, the piece of land was given back to the traditional landowners, but ever since then it has only been partly developed. Since the volcano eruption in 1994 and the relocation exercise which saw people move from Rabaul to Kokopo, many settlers have settled in Kairak. Landowners then look for ways to move settlers and invite development.
Firstly, we consist long all settlers, but one play belong all landowners and was people like reclaiming back this lab blumipla. Lo avoiding this unorganized settlement. So the only way we can work in, I think, we become a project called Semlong, reclaiming back and then put him some black and control go inside long ground baby.
They then mobilized and in 2009 registered the land under the Kairak Incorporated Land Group. Last year, the Kairak ILG invited the East New Britain Palm Oil Limited to invest in oil palm. Since December last year, work has begun on the project with 260 hectares of forest cleared. ENB Palm Oil Limited is the first company with a forest clearance authority who does not do logging. Timber from the project area has been used to put up buildings that will accommodate employees. 360,000 seedlings now in nursery will be planted over 260 hectares of land. The investor is looking at planting oil palm. 2 weeks ago, the directors of the company flew in from Malaysia to witness the first oil palm planting.
Yeah. Okay. This is the future for.
Yes, and Mr. Blaze, you must come every month to see this tree.
Just one scoop of
to make sure that the palm grows.
The day was filled with different activities. The government was well represented by officers from East New Britain Provincial Government, the National Forest Authority Managing Director Kanawi Poru, the Regional Police Commander, Labour Department, Agriculture and even Customs officers.
That's not development and by providing big law opportunity. That's all this development too, by coming up in big law centers, for life, for Yumi, or Manoplex.
ENB Palm Oil Limited is aiming to put up a processing mill by the year 2015 and that will be within the premises of the project.
Our plan is to develop the first phase of 11,000 hectares of oil palm and construct a 60 metric ton per hour state-of-the-art, modern and
environmental friendly crude palm oil processing mill here in Kairak by the year 2015.
Landowners are a major partner in the project and will be receiving 30% royalty from the project. Kairak Oil Palm Project will employ 11,000 Papua New Guineans, and the investor has many plans to develop and build new infrastructures. It is looking at making 300 million kina from the first harvest in 2 years' time, and says most of that money will go towards paying employees' wages and salaries and tax to the government.
A lot of this, of course, will be paid via, in terms of, we paid via the payroll to wages and skilled, trained professionals. And of course, some of this goes to the spin-off business like trucking, carting business, and harvesting contractors. And of course, the government will also take some of the taxes. So I think basically it's a local company, and most of them will be plowed back to the community.
The place is said to be the least developed in the province. However, with this project, some changes are expected, and the landowners are very confident that they will benefit from the project. The company, on the other hand, in return for helping with community projects, would like to negotiate with the government about possible tax incentives.
And that's been Tok Piksa for this week. If you have any comments or queries about tonight's program, you can email us on news@mtv.com.pg. Until the same time next week, good night.